BT has emerged from a tough period in its global services unit amid a structural decline in its UK fixed-line business. It is now a much more streamlined and efficient operation. Overseeing this transformation since 2008, Chief Executive Ian Livingstone has committed £2.5 billion to the rollout of superfast broadband in the UK and has focused its corporate operations much more on the emerging markets. This is all in the face of a tough economic climate.
Well, you're right, the economy isn't doing very well, but now's the time you've got to make the long-term plays. And this is an investment for 20 years. And what's very important is there's an element of article of faith. Do we think that people will want to use more and more bandwidth, there'll be more and more applications, and frankly we'll make money from it, and we do.
So how important specifically is the digital infrastructure of the UK? The government is also putting the best part of £1 billion behind linking up the rural parts of the UK as well. I mean, what does that mean for the UK's competition or competitive status and the economy as a whole?
Well, the UK actually already has one of the best communications infrastructures in the world, so we're not a bad place. Where we've been a wee bit behind of is speed, and now with our fibre rollout programme, we're more than catching up on speed, and we'll definitely meet, I think, the government's objectives, have the best broadband in Europe by 2015.
Is the concentration on speed, though, is that actually not the thing we should be focusing on as much as take-up, for example?
I think speed is only one part. I think you're absolutely right. Speed is important because of particularly multiple usage, and particularly speed upstream as well as downstream, because more and more people are communicating two-way. But take-up is really important, and we're certainly working with local communities in getting take-up up. But actually the UK take-up is among the best in Western Europe. We're #1 in Europe for the number of SMEs who are actually trading online.
And what feedback are you getting from your SME clients, for example, about the state of the economy at the moment? I think your last set of results showed some stalling of growth in that market particularly, which can be a bellwether, can't it?
I think it tends to be. I think they tend to be the first affected, almost canary in the coal mine. I think they're obviously finding it difficulty in terms of funding, but also in terms of the market for them. It's a tough market, particularly in areas such as retail, and so certainly we are seeing some impact. I think the biggest impact is uncertainty. And when people are uncertain, they tend to put off investment decisions. And we saw people not making capital purchases of things like computer systems.
And this year is the year everyone's been waiting for, the launch of UView, which has been long anticipated and somewhat delayed, it seems. Are we going to see UView this year, and how important is that to BT in offering a triple play bundle and in offering a sensible TV option?
Well, of course, BT already has a sensible TV option, in fact a very good TV option. UView will add to that, provide greater capability. We expect it around the middle of the calendar year that we're now in, but people have to be a bit careful. You know, there's very few things that come to the market that overnight suddenly change everything. Everyone's been very excited about the way that video's gone on to PCs. They've been watching YouTube, they've been watching iPlayer, and that's been great. Far more exciting, in my view, is bringing true interactivity to the TV set, which is the most watched screen in the house. And I think as you bring true interactivity, both that means on-demand services, it means the availability of buying things as you do it, to have personalised services, to know what your friends like and what they think of it. I think that will change viewing habits quite considerably. It won't happen overnight, but I think it's the start of something quite big. And the UK is actually, in terms of what it's doing, in the combination of digital terrestrial broadcasting and using IPTV, is one of the leaders in the world, and a lot of people are looking to the UK example, and I think it will start with the UK and move actually to a number of other countries as well.
And the other area of investment seems to be in your global services business, which a few years ago was really struggling, and you seem to have turned around that business relatively successfully, and there's a momentum behind it now, up to the point that you are now investing a fair amount of money into Latin America and into Asia as well. Why can you put money into those areas now? Is there growth there particularly?
Oh, there is, and it really comes from two directions. We look after many of the biggest global multinationals, whether it's Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Fiat, Philips, Reuters, around the world. And what they're doing is they're expanding into these regions, and we go where our customers are. We've had presences in both these markets for a long time, but also we're seeing the rise of multinationals from these areas You know, I think this will be the decade of the Asian multinational, and so we're seeing. I was in China a couple of months ago, seeing companies such as Sinopec and China Shipping, and they are very large global companies, and they're using BT in for a lot of their expansion as they go around the world.
You worked under some big characters in your history, so Stanley Calms and your predecessor, Ben Verwijn. I mean, what have you taken from their management styles into what you have been trying to do in BT since taking over?
Stanley in particular was a very, very large character. He was an entrepreneur. You know, he always said he started with one store, and when he retired there was about 1,200 stores in about 8 countries. And he said when he was a small business he tried to act like a big business, and when he was a big business he tried to act like a small business. And I've tried to take that into BT, because that's something about agility, about the pace you move at. BT is a very big business. The more we can act like a small business, at the pace of a small business, the closeness to customer, the attitude to cost and bureaucracy. We've got a long way to go, but we've made a lot of improvement. But that sort of attitude of recognising and saying, how do I make a big business like a small business, is certainly something I've taken from Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston.
Thank you.
Now, are you ready to play the long short game?
And if I'm not, of course.
The euro.
Difficult to be long.
Sterling.
Long.
Greece.
Short.
European Commission.
Depends which bit.
Neely Cruise.
Long.
Ofcom.
Long.
UView.
Long. Very long.
Google TV.
Short.
Skype.
Fact on the ground.
Celtic to win the league.
Oh, extraordinarily long.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston.
Thank you.